In this video, I am talking about the latest developments in the Han Solo movie debacle. What is up, everybody? It's Josh. This is the Den of Nerds, and yes, it has been an absolutely crazy week for Star Wars fans. I've gotten a lot of calls from different people. I've talked to a ton of different people about Lord and Miller being taken off of the Han Solo project. I talked about it with James and Brock on the Rebel Scum podcast. We talked about it on the Nerdy News Hour. I did a small update video when it first broke. It's been a pretty crazy week. So here is where it stands now. So on Tuesday night, we get the statements by both Lord and Miller and Kathy Kennedy on StarWars.com. expressing that creative differences, blah, blah, blah. They're off the movie, right? So then the very next day, as news junkets tend to do, Variety, I believe, through a source, came out with an article that expressed that they were fired. Not walked off the project, but fired by Kathleen Kennedy. The way that they painted that article was that Kathleen Kennedy never liked those guys, that it was like a clash of personalities, of styles, of, whatever you want to call it. She didn't even like the way they folded their socks, is a quote from the source, which is such a bizarre quote. I can't believe that made print. But anyways, after that day, which was Wednesday, the whole internet was full of memes and statements kind of painting Kathleen Kennedy in a negative light, kind of painting Lucasfilm in a negative light. I myself even said, with the little information that we had at that time, that it did feel like she was muscling out these guys, that Lucasfilm was repeating some of the mistakes that they had made with Gareth Edwards, and that Lord and Miller just simply were not going to take it the same way that Gareth Edwards did, and boom, there you go. Creative differences, you're fired, whatever. Now, most recently, another source is saying that it was actually Alden Ehrenreich, the young actor who will play the young Han Solo, that started this whole ball rolling. That he was the one that went to producers. Now, it's possible that he went straight to Kathleen Kennedy, or it's possible that he went to other producers around the set, and he expressed that the way that Lord and Miller were directing this film was bothering him. It was taking the story off script, and it was messing with the tone. I've heard the words Ace Ventura-like as something that was cited by that source. So essentially, it is possible that the actor that was playing young Han Solo is the one that started this whole ball rolling, which is interesting because if you look at those articles, what they are suggesting is that he said these things to the producers, and then Kathleen Kennedy and Lawrence Kasdan, some of the other producers, went through the tapes and did an investigation of what was actually happening. Now, this kind of opens up a lot of other speculation, and honestly, guys, this is a big deal. We'll probably be talking about this for a long time to come. This is way crazier than the reshoots for Rogue One. Now, I say all the time it was probably 40% of that movie that was reshot. Guys, we don't know that. There are actually sources out there saying that they reshot 70% of Rogue One. I don't know if we'll ever know for sure, but I do know that there was an incredible amount of that movie reshot. I've talked about it before. A lot of other people have talked about it. It was crazy. This is on a whole nother level than that. 3.5 weeks. 3.5 weeks left in principal photography, and the directors are gone. The standby background actors, the extras, everybody that's not main cast and crew has left while they figure this out. So, guys, this is like literally unprecedented. I can't think of a situation quite like this ever, really. And I'm sure there's stuff that's close, but nothing like this. This is so bizarre for different reasons. So let me unpack this. Let me kind of explain over the past couple of days the conclusion that I have come to, right? Now, what I honestly think happened was a couple of different things. I think that Lawrence Kasdan wrote an amazing Han Solo script that everybody was in love with. Everybody's like, this is freaking awesome. This is rock and roll. This is what we want to do, right? And he wrote it with his son. We reported on that. I think that when Lucasfilm met with Lord and Miller, I do believe that their way of making movies, that their tone as far as comedy is concerned, I believe that all of those things were covered. I mean, they have to be, right? It is absurd to think that a company like Lucasfilm didn't go through all of the proper channels and checks and balances in order to vet these guys for this project. And what I think happened from there was that although maybe Kathleen Kennedy didn't like them, maybe that's fair, but maybe that has nothing to do with this. So what I'm thinking happened is the dailies, which were probably not shown to... I don't think Kathleen Kennedy is looking at every single day of dailies for Han Solo. She's a very busy woman. I don't think she's looking at all of them. I do think that she looked at a good bit of them. And the thing about dailies is they literally get edited. I don't know if you guys know that or not, but it's not like... The dailies are not the raw footage of everything you shot. No, they are probably the best takes, probably certain things, certain shots, certain takes, and they're edited together to get you an idea of the good stuff you got, the bad stuff you got from the set. I do believe that the dailies probably painted a different picture for everyone who was looking at them than what was actually happening on set. Okay? And I think that I truly believe that while everybody was seeing that there were some problems, that Lucasfilm was determined to work with these guys because they did not want to repeat what happened with Rogue One. Okay? It was bad for them in the PR sense. That movie is awesome and it did great, but it was bad for them in the PR sense. It caused them a lot of questions. It caused them to have to, change the way they wanted to promote all sorts of different things, okay? So I think that you have this situation where Kathy Kennedy, Kasdan, and everybody at Lucasfilm is seeing what's happening. The movie's a little bit off the rails, but that's okay because their plan was always to punch it up. Their plan was always to do reshoots, probably with a different director, because that formula works. And essentially, because Eldon was like, look, I really don't like this. I am the one that's going to take the brunt of this if this movie is not what the fans want. And this could literally destroy his career, because it could. If he comes out as the young Han Solo and it's whack as fuck and we all hate it, dude, we're never going to trust that guy again. No studio will take him. It'll end his career. Okay? So he understands that. And he goes to producers and says, this is what's happening. I don't think it's good, yada, yada, yada. And then I think Lucasfilm really spends some time investigating this problem. And I think that they had a series of meetings with Lord and Miller that were not good meetings. That were not good at all. This might be where all the animosity that we're hearing about comes from, is the fact that Lucasfilm's in a tough situation, so is Lord and Miller. This is not good for anybody that's associated with this right now. So I think what happened was, due to the pressure from Eldon, due to the fact that Kasdan and Kathy Kennedy probably didn't like what they saw when they took that deeper look, I think they had these series of meetings and they said, look, Lord and Miller, this is way off the rails. We are fine with you guys finishing this up, but we are going to bring in Tony Gilroy or Ron Howard or somebody else to do the 5 weeks, maybe more, of reshoots, and we're going to kind of have to put this together the Star Wars way. And I think that Lord and Miller really wanted to do the reshoots themselves, and I think that that's where the contention was. They couldn't agree on it, and it's just better for them to walk away. So I think that kind of explains maybe why it took this long for this problem to be sorted out. Plainly, this is a crazy story for a number of different reasons. I mean, like, I am a guy who gets on the interwebs all the time and talks about how Warner Brothers is ridiculous because they're not letting directors make their movies. They're meddling, their studio interference, all the stuff that I hate is going on over there, and I condemn it. I'm also the guy that says that the MCU needs to fix some things because they are starting to fall into that trap too. The templated model that they set up for Marvel films, no bueno. I really want to see directors make actual good movies like James Mangold did with Logan, like Patty Jenkins did with Wonder Woman. I want that. So for a guy like me, this is a weird spot because I'm also one of the biggest Star Wars fans on the planet. Don't believe me, just watch. Catch me outside. How about that? I promise you I am. So it's weird because I'm the guy that doesn't like studio interference, but I'm also the guy that doesn't want fucking Ace Ventura with my fucking Han Solo. No, thank you. And so I'm glad, to be quite honest, like I'll just put it out there for you guys. I'm glad that this happened because everything I'm hearing is making me believe that this was not going to be the Han Solo film I was looking for. And that it's in much better hands with Kasdan and Kennedy and Ron Howard, okay? Now, let me speak on Ron Howard here really quickly, and I don't want to ramble. It's getting kind of long in this video, so let me just tell you what I think is actually happening with Ron Howard. Ron Howard is what they call a calming presence, okay? He's going to come on, he's going to make sure everybody's cool, everything's going to be copacetic, but you know who's actually going to direct this movie? Lawrence Kasdan. 100%, that's what I think. But there is this weird rule for the Directors Guild. By the way, if you don't know how Hollywood works, it's fucking weird. They have all these guilds, which are essentially unions, okay? And they have all these weird rules. So the Directors Guild is in a weird spot because they probably, you know, as Lord and Miller are recognized by the guild, they're going to want to have those guys' name on the film because they literally did up until 3.5 weeks left of principal. They hired everybody for the cast and crew. I mean, come on. They directed a Han Solo movie. Now, it's not going to be the one that we probably see, but they directed a Han Solo movie. So that's a weird spot. But there's also this crazy rule that the guild has that is called, I believe it's called the Eastwood Rule or the Clint Eastwood Rule. And essentially, when a director is fired from a movie after a certain point, you cannot hire someone else who was already working on that movie to fill that role. The guild's like, nah, that's not cool. And I think it has to do with some weird shit that happened with Clint Eastwood back in the day. And yeah, it's probably a really weird arbitrary rule, but because of it and because of the way Hollywood works, I think Kasdan is coming. I think Kasdan's going to be the director. I think Howard's going to be there, but Kasdan is the ghost director. Kasdan is the one that's actually going to pull this thing together. He's going to be there right beside my man Ron Howard and probably literally telling Ron Howard, why don't you tell him to do this a little bit like this? And then they go over there and they say it, and it's going to be a very weird, bizarre thing for everybody that's on set. Because here's the thing. Not only is this is not only Kasdan's baby, because he essentially created Han Solo. Now, I know George Lucas created Han Solo, but Lawrence Kasdan gave us the beats and the things that we identify with Solo. He gave us the DNA and the fabric of the Han Solo that we know and that we love, okay? So you take that coupled with the fact that he dug into the script with his son, and it was apparently, the word around Hollywood was, this is one of the best Star Wars scripts of all time, possibly the best Star Wars script ever, okay? Not only that, let's compound it even more, this is his swan song. What I mean is that this is his departure from Star Wars. This is Kasdan's last thing in Star Wars. And so, take from that what you will, but I believe that he's going to be heavily involved now, especially with all the turmoil surrounding the project, in order to make this thing as dope as possible so that he can, breathe a sigh of relief and sail off into the distance and do whatever else he wants to do. So that's where we stand. It's crazy. And, like I said, I have so many mixed emotions about this thing. I don't like studio interference. I don't like when people aren't allowed to make the movie that they were hired to make. But I also don't want Ace Ventura Han Solo. And I'm glad that Lucasfilm made this move, because as a fan, this will probably give me a better Han Solo movie. So I feel weird saying that, but that is the reality of the situation. There's a lot to unpack here. This is an evolving story. We'll probably be talking about it at least in some capacity for the next several months, and then again after we start seeing trailers and different things like that. The big question becomes, what is Lucasfilm going to show us at D23? What is Lucasfilm going to show us at Comic-Con? Man, it's going to be weird. And this is possibly why we didn't see stuff at Celebration, but I don't know. I really don't know that for a fact. That's just speculation. So that's all I want to talk about in this video, guys. Just want to kind of break it down, give you the in-depth analysis of this story as it has developed this week. So yeah, that's all I got. Like this video if you thought it was kind of cool. Subscribe to the channel. We have huge announcements coming to the Den of Nerds. I know things have been a little crazy lately. We haven't been uploading a lot. Things have been a little weird, but I promise you, it is not because of bad things happening. It is because of good things happening. And you're going to get a ton of Den of Nerds coming at you very, very soon. As I always say, I hope you are having an awesome and nerdy day. See ya!